Good afternoon. My name is Kenlyn Kibler. I work at Ministry Door County Medical Center in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. I work in the Employee Support and Development Office, otherwise known as Human Resources. I do all the advertising, recruiting, and assist in hiring for not only the hospital, but a skilled nursing facility that's affiliated with us, as well as four clinics. Today, I would like to educate you on what behavioral-based interviewing means, help you understand an employer's point of view and what they're seeking for in an ideal candidate. What is behavioral-based interviewing? Behavioral-based interviewing is asking you questions in regards to your past behavior, situations, and experiences. Employers believe that past behavior predicts future behavior. So how you handled an upset patient or customer in the past is most likely how you will handle them in the future. In the traditional interview process, the candidate is able to tell us what we want to hear. Whereas the behavioral-based interviewing process, we're asking for specific examples on how they handled a situation. So for example, there are no general answers. I have great customer service, or I've always been told I have wonderful with patients. We want to know why you have great customer service and examples of how you have outstanding patient care. Then we're going to probe you a little bit deeper to find out your thinking and why you handled the situation, why you did. The hiring leader will pick out the most important behaviors that is successful for this position. So some of the common behaviors selected are customer service, learning on the fly, which means how well do you adapt to change and learn things on a quickly matter, peer relations, how you interact with your peers, whether in your department or outside, and time management. The interview questions are going to be geared towards those specific behaviors that the hiring leader has chosen. Some examples of how the behavior-based interview phrases start are: tell me about a time when, describe a situation, give me an example of. So let's use the following example. Tell me about a time you almost lost a customer and you had to turn it around. The candidate replies, we had a patient scheduled for one of our providers and the provider was running an hour behind. The patient was very upset as she took a day of vacation. She threatened to leave the clinic and would never come back. Here's where our probing questions come in. We want to dig a little bit deeper and find out how the candidate handled the situation and what their thinking was. So one of the first action probing questions are, tell me how you approached it. How did you handle it? The candidate replies, well, I explained to the patient that the provider had a family emergency and that's why they were running an hour behind. We were doing what we could to catch up the provider. Could I offer her some coffee or possibly go to the cafeteria to wait? The second probing question, thinking. What was your thinking? Why did you handle this? How did you approach it? I knew, the candidate could reply, I knew that this was a loyal customer that had been coming to our clinic for many years. The provider would be very disappointed if they knew the candidate left, the patient left. The third probing question, outcome. What was the result? Just like when anyone tells us a story, we want to know the end result. The patient calmed down and said they appreciated my caring and would be happy to wait in the cafeteria. The fourth probing question, I always think, is optional, depending on the scenario the candidate gave you. I learned, for example, a candidate could reply, I learned that if I put myself in that person's shoes, it helps me to understand how they're feeling and respond to them how I would like to be treated. From this example, we can see that the candidate has very high values, not only for the organization, but for the provider as well. They did everything they could to keep the the patient happy and help them to see the provider again. Some things to consider on the employer side of you. When we are interviewing candidates, we are looking for individuals that are going to live by our mission, vision, and value and be an all-around good cultural fit. We are looking for dependable, ethical, and upbeat individuals that are going to help our organization to grow. All these characteristics can be determined just by the short time we spend with you during an interview. We are looking at your eye contact, your body language, and facial expressions and how you answer these questions. In closing, I hope this has helped you to better understand what behavioral-based interviewing means, what employers are looking for, and how you can prepare for your next interview. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me today.